Zhao from Taiwan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Xinyi Zhao. So it's my turn? Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm very happy to share my experiments today. And now I want to share the screen. Okay. Okay. Does everyone can see the full screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Xinyi Zhao. I'm from Taiwan. And you can see the three logos on the first page because I belong to like the non-visual association is for a non-profit unit, and now I'm working in the university, but I also work in the museum before the last August. So today I want to share what's mean the non-visual arts and also in the art education and the social inclusions from my experiments. And here, today I want to share my background should be the combine the visual art, architecture, museum, and psychology. And I had established the Taiwan Art Beyond Vision Associations in the 2014 and work in the museum, the National Taiwan Museum of Fine Arts for 6 years. And those years I worked both the non-visual organization and the government affiliations. And next one. Okay, here is a TED talk. I was invited to share the idea, the why or the art should be beyond sight. So if you're interested, you can just search from the YouTube, from internet. And I think this talk is very close to the topic that I want to share today. Okay, and here is an association I established. I call the TEDBOT. It's a Taiwan Art Beyond Vision Association. If you're interested, maybe you can search from the Facebook. Then you can scan it and receive many the non-visual art events, technology news, and the multi-sensory learning information if you like this page. Okay, today I think we need to answer the 3 questions. So the next one, from my experiments for the inclusive art experiments, I think start from I am the artist before the 2006, and later I teach in the primary school, be an art teachers. From the 2006 and to 2015. And later, I leave the primary school and I established the TEBA. So the association is continue to now. And we offer the children and adults course. And we also offer the teacher and volunteer training. And we develop the tactile and the hearing materials. And later, I work in the museum, and I will explain why I want to leave the school and go into the new museum. And now I work in university, but my research is always focused on the non-visual art and the tactile spatial cognition. And I also study the Braille textbooks for the visual impaired students and blindness. Okay. And these pictures show I work when I was a primary school art teacher. I teach the students from the inclusive education and also the spatial education systems. So you can see the lower 2 pictures is I told the students in the spatial school, because they don't have the visual art course, and also they don't have any teacher can know how to teach them. So I have to spend my weekend and go to different city and to different spatial school to try to teach them how to create or try to combine the maybe music and performance, and try to add the more experiments on the visual arts. Later, I think many years later, I found there are 6 aspects for the development of the art education for the blind, because I think they need to be training the 6 abilities. So you can see the first one. I will teach them the multisensory manipulation, the skill, because they usually don't use the scissor or the knife from their daily life. Even in school, they don't have any experiments to use the we call the dangerous the tool. But I teach them the right the method to measure the angle and can finish their actions. So we will train their many multi-sensory skills, like just maybe you just use a line and try to make a circle. It's very difficult for them because usually we just watch them and just keep our hand to move. But if you don't have your vision, you have to rely on all about your tactile skill. So I think that it's important, the multisensory manipulation skill and abilities. The next one, I think this is the recognition and the communications, because we often manage the tactile, the icon in daily life or in the textbooks for them, but we try to transfer or interpret the visual information for them, and they just touch and try to gain the information. So they need to they need to be trained. What does it mean? The shapes or the icon or the line. So I usually make the different rice line drawing kits and the material to help them to store and increase the understanding for the visual information via the touching. The next one, I think, is the 2D, the drawing presentation abilities, because they need to know how to transfer the 3D, like the spatial information into the 2D, because you will depends on the different angle. So the projection, the 3D projection into 2D, they how to know, such as from their face, from the front or from side, and from 3D become to 2D. So they have to know how to try to combine the different shapes together and try to complete a whole complete the artwork. And the next one is, I think, the 3D modeling and sculpture abilities, because they need to know the dot line and the surface, and how the 3D sculpture can try to separate the different elements, and you can try to combine together. So I try to teach them the material and the topic is the same as I teach for the science students. It's similar or even it's all the same. And the next one, they need to know the spatial orientation and mobility skill because they have to try to know the composition in the drawing surface. So they have to know the distance or the relationship between the diverse objects or the body and the objects. So I teach them how to take picture and how to draw in by the Chinese graphy or Chinese graphy, choreography. And the next one, I think this is the professional the skill is we call the audio descriptions. That means how we interpret the visual information from visual elements into the hearing contents. So you don't need to see anything, but you can try to create your image recognitions from your in your brand just from hearing the audio descriptions. So here this photo were taken by the blind student, and after the actions, the events, we will describe the contents for them, so they will know what they took when they use the camera. Like these four pictures, you can find the multi-sensory, the information from the visual visual pictures. Like the first one, you can find the sound from the car, or the smell from the food, or the feeling from the soft land, or the tactile wall. So you can feel multi-sensory the information from your experiments. And later, I want to share the short video how we try to teach them. And here is the Chinese calligraphy, and we will give them the tactile material, and they just follow the dry and the wetness, so they can feel what's the different. And here is we teach them how to control the camera, then use the memory card, or try to know the function, then recall the what they want to take from their daily life. And here is also the textile material, and we also teach them the poetries. But if we want to teach them how to make your head, we could not use the mirror. So, but we can try to another the innovative technology like the 3D sculptures is printed from the 3D scanner. And here is a bacon course, and I invite the one blind teachers to teach them how to use your maybe taste and the smell, and to make the snack for their opening ceremony of exhibitions. Okay, so we also teach them how to drawing, even they never see the color, and we also need to tell them the color, the principle, how to mix the yellow and the blue, and you will create the green color. So we teach the multi-sensory and diverse media and material to learn, and try to use the different size and the different experiments. Okay, then next one. And here's the exhibition I try to curate for them. So the blind artist will be the blind student will be the artist. So we work with the gallery. So it's the formal exhibitions, not just like the like a results we published in the school. That is, it is the business gallery. And here's their work, and they have to guide their artwork by themselves. And all of the artwork that can be touched, or their braille on the wall, the text on the wall. And we also present the 3D printing material we use from the process we teach them in the space, in the gallery. So you can see the process, how we teach them. And later, their artwork, we try to promote to different city and different organization, to museum, to the history, the heritage. And we also present in the library, and in Taipei, the Huashan art area, and also in the TED Taipei exhibition. So I try to make everyone know the blinder people can create the visual art as everyone. So this exhibition is we call it the Beyond Existence. This one is I invited the blind student and their work to present together with the famous contemporary artist. So I try to transfer the concept. Their work is the different kind of contemporary art. They understand the word from tactile, from hearing, not from vision. So I think it's a new style, the contemporary art. And later we also try to transfer the drawing into the production. So you can see maybe you're from mask or the red envelope. You can see their Chinese calligraph, the drawing, or they're printing their work. So later, but I face many challenges, and I try to find the solutions, because the teacher may have no idea to how to teach the students with the visual impaired. So I try to training them and try to publish the books to help them to understand. And the next, the no visual art course and material in the spatial school. So I try to making the tactile material to help them, to help teachers. And the next one, the sight people don't understand the visual impaired or the blindness, and always make decision for the visual impaired and blindness people. So I try to create the course is for the sight and the blind learning together. And next one, I think I want to, again, is the nature of the human right to be equals in the culture and the education for everyone. So that's why I left the school and I want to work in the museum, because I can offer the more service for the people without any age limitation or the gender limitation. So then here is the material books I try to publish. This one is in 2018. And the next one is I cooperate with the Japanese professor, and we just published in this month. And so I try to promote the idea with a different organization and different disciplines. So I also try to publish the idea non-visual arts in the 21st century's contemporary art education book. I also published in spatial education, like this one, the visual impairments. And this one is I training the art teacher. So I work with the Xie Foundation. It's a famous education foundation in Taiwan. So they accept the idea, the multisensory and the the art teacher need to know how to teach the sight and the blind students in their course and use the different sensory and material to understand the art. And here is I teach the volunteer to create the tactile material with the audio description. So this is a QR code you can scan and hearing the audio description and touch this tactile picture together. And this one is I work with the social working department. And this one is the association TEPA. We try to make the universal design material with the double vision for seeing and touch. And many the right line on the surface, so you can see the color, the line, but you can also touch the information. And later, I try to make my course, the sight and the blind learn together to the Minister of the Education, we call the 一拍即合. So the regular school, they can invite the course into their school. So even the sighted student, they can understand how to learn art from touch, from hearing, and maybe learn with the visual impaired student. And this one is we call the Wenhui Award. It's for the art award for disabled people. So you can just make the picture book. But since the 2019, they found that they need to offer the exhibition information for touch, for hearing, for the maybe deaf and blind visitors. So they invited the TEPA, try to create the tactile display and the tactile material in the exhibition gallery. Like this, there are braille and the text and the visual information and the tactile information together. And we also offer the real object in the exhibition space, and they can maybe smell or they touch the real object. Like this one is the hearing aids for the deaf people. And later I went to in the art museum. So I try to train the volunteer in museum. I also give the audio description, the training course. I teach the blind adults in the museum. So I think that in museum, I can try to give them more possibilities for the inclusive art education. Like the first one, I think the accessible technology development will help the blind people to learn, especially in the pandemic period. So I think that also we give the curating the exhibition with the accessible idea is important because you can offer the more opportunity for the visitor with the visual impair or the other disability. They can come to the museum to see the art exhibitions. And we also offer the multi-sensory display and material. And here, I think the time limitation, I maybe skip this one, the video. These videos show what the National Taiwan Museum of Fine Arts done these years. They're not only for the visual impaired visitors, they offer the elderly people, the special need people, or the hearing, the problem people. So we offer many different kind of service for them. And here's the anti-MOFA accessible app. You can download from the iOS or Android systems. Then you can see many the audio description and the sign language videos from this app. And here, this one is I developed in the museum. And this is many the tools and the topics I try to keep increasing for during the 6 years. So they include maybe architecture, the photography, the mixed media or sculpture or draw the paintings, the different kind of the topic. And we have offer the 3D model. You can try to use your the cell phone. Then you can, if you in the museum, you can use the near model. Then you don't need to see the screen. And when you walk near the artwork, then the audio description or the information will trigger automatically. And next one is for the people with the low vision. So you can just check the map and the color, the information, if they want to just guide by themselves. And the last one is the list model. You can just check again or listen again when you go back home. And I think this model is very benefit for the spatial school. And this is iBeacon. We use the iBeacon the technology. The iBeacon offer the Bluetooth the function, so you can connect with your mobile phone. And we also offer the tactile map, so you can touch the map, understand the spatial information before you walk in the museum. And this picture is a real blind audience. They walk into the museum and just they don't need to go with a group. They can go individually. So we want to try to offer the opportunity. If they just the one person, they want to visit the museum, just go. You just follow the technology device, then you can receive any the information you want. The next one is I curate the photography the exhibitions in our museum. The time machine, the moment, light, and camera. I offer the normal, the regular content from the collections, but I offer many the touchable, the artwork, the audio description, and the braille information, the tactile map. I also created a 3D printing the ads. They can touch and feel. They really understand what the artist or the photographer want to say. So there's the 3 cases. And this is a braille book with text. And here is I think is famous Japanese professor. Yeah, in the 2017, she came to Taiwan to visit these exhibitions. And I think the last one is the architectural exhibitions I want to share. And this is also the 3D, the map. In front of the entrance of the museum space. And I offer the architecture, the space information, maybe use the tactile material. And I also create the 3D model and the guide brick indoor, set it indoor. So it's not easy if we want to offer the many information for the blind people as the regular people without any disabilities. So we try to use the many innovative method to invite them, but not the spatial room like the photography, the exhibition. This is to try to combine together the regular information and the multi-sensory information. They just combine together. So the blind people, they can also use the app and touch everything, but the sight people can see the information at the same time. so they can work in the same museum, use the same the information, the same service together. So I think that that's in my idea. That's inclusive the society need to be over the culture contents for everyone. So I think the last question is, what does the art mean to me? I think the art, especially visual art, should not has any no visual limitation. So art should be exist for everyone and created by everyone. So this is my idea. Art should be for all, and art also should be fun all. So that's all is my presentation, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your rich experience and enthusiasm. I think what you did is quite linked to the InSEA manifest. Have you looked at that?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we will discuss about your work after all of the presenter presented their work. So thank you. So next presenter is Satoshi Ikeda from Japan.
Hi, okay. I want to share my slide. Can you see
Yes.
my slide? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon and good morning or good evening, everyone. My name is Satoshi Ikeda, and I am from Japan. Today, I'm going to talk about this title, Toward Social Inclusion, What Can Art Education Contribute? Let's get started. Firstly, let me introduce myself briefly. I have taught at Hiroshima University for 10 years since 2011. In particular, I teach art education as part of teacher education course for elementary school. Before I started working at the university, I was an art teacher at a special needs school for 7 years. It was a precious experience, and I really appreciated the student I met at that time. For this reason, I am interested in studying art education, disabilities, and inclusive education. These are the three thought-provoking questions from the counselor. Could you please talk about your experience or challenge to realize inclusive art education? What this experience might reveal about the possibilities for inclusive art education in Asia, in the pandemic and beyond? And what does art mean to you? This slide shows my experiences and challenges while working to realize inclusive art education, both past and current. The studies in art education and disabilities are art education for children with severe and multiple disabilities. This is my doctoral thesis that was published 2017. A national survey of special needs school in Japan in 2017, and a literature review of disability studies and art education in last year. This is my latest work. In terms of committees, I have been a member of the exhibition board of Art Brut exhibition in Hiroshima Prefecture since 2016. And I will be the chair of the interest group, Inclusive Art Education in Japanese Association of Art Education till April 2022. In terms of inclusive education at Hiroshima University, acceptance of international students with hearing disabilities in graduate school. And regarding the art project for social inclusion, I conducted integrated research and action project regarding art and social inclusion to collaborate with university, prefecture government, art museum, and NPO from 2019. Here are some more details about the area framed by the square. Hiroshima University has accepted international students with disabilities. He is the first international student with hearing disabilities from China, and I am his supervisor. The photo on the left is a private lesson for master's thesis before the pandemic. Now we use Zoom and chat discussion. On the right are photos of art classes in the undergraduate and graduate program with an inclusive setting. The photos on the top depict the creation of a stop motion movie using iPad in the group activities. Here is one instance of the support that Hiroshima University offers to students with hearing disabilities. This is remote voice interpretation support. Let me introduce the procedure for this support. This photo depicts a discussion among students. Firstly, this student speaks something to this microphone. Next, the PC received his voice and sent the data to the accessibility center. The accessibility center modifies the word data and sent it to this PC. Then he read it. But sometimes he had difficulty in understand the meaning. In this case, the accessibility supporter would summarize to him. This support made it possible to have smooth discussion. I will introduce one more example. I conducted an art-based exchange program for graduate students and international students in 2018. This program was implemented in graduate school class. I divided the 16 classes into 5 periods and structured the program. This program was organized as follows: preliminary practice, workshop development, interactive introduction, workshop implementation, transition to regular classes. Now, let me show you a video of what we implemented. Thank you. I conducted a follow-up survey a year and a half after the program ended. And the result shows that the program led to the development of positive attitude toward inclusive activities among the participants. Next, let me show you a second example. This is a project named Integrated Research and Action Program regarding art and social inclusion. This project is a collaboration with Hiroshima University, Hiroshima Prefecture Government, Hiroshima Prefecture Art Museum, and Hiroshima Prefecture Art Support Center. It is currently underway. We attempt to create a cultural arena for social inclusion through art. This project has these two phases. Phase one was a survey to identify problems and needs of art for people with disabilities. And based on the result of phase one survey, phase two was an art event for people with disabilities. Today, I will show you these three events briefly. Here is phase one. This survey is designed to grasp the actual conditions of art expressions, art appreciations, and digital device use by people with disabilities as basic data for phase two, and to clarify difficulties and needs in art making and appreciation activities. 370 people responded to this questionnaire. Here are some of the results. This is the actual condition of art expression. As shown on the left, 35% are not engaged in art expressions. However, when we asked them if they would like to engage in art expressions, 76% of them answered yes. And also asked them if they went to art exhibitions. 55% of them answered no. But 70% of people who did not go to art exhibitions said they want to. Based on this result, we found that those not currently expressing or appreciating themselves have a need to create and see artwork. We conducted an art event based on the result of survey. Firstly, we held a movie creation workshop at Hiroshima Prefecture Art Museum in March 2021. These are 10 participants, including 3 with disabilities. Participants took pictures of artworks exhibit at the museum, and they created a movie using these photographs with guidance of a movie maker. Here is a sample movie made in this workshop. they use a lot of effects of editing. After that, the staff made a special Facebook page for this project and uploaded the participant work. This was the second art event. We conducted an online interactive appreciation session via Zoom on October 16, 2021. This was dialogical appreciation for people with disabilities. Mayuko Mori, museum curator, facilitated this session. This is a photo of the dialogical appreciation on Zoom, where 7 people with disabilities participated. They discussed this oil painting titled Milkmaid, which was painted Senko Kobayashi. Kobayashi was born and bred in Hiroshima in Japan. It was a very interesting and exciting appreciation session. This session was recorded and uploaded to YouTube. You may watch it there. This was the third art event. We conducted an online art exhibition for people with disabilities. In this exhibition, people with disabilities submitted either a word or a photograph based on the painting Milkmaid. Here, the photograph division artwork is shown. This is like Getty artwork recreated in the Stay Home Challenge. The photograph is attached this story. In this right hand, he holds the bread loaves and in the bucket shrimp. This tells the story of how he loves fried shrimp and carries them around. It's very interesting. In the following slide, I would like to answer the second question from the counselor on the possibilities for inclusive art education in Asia during the pandemic and beyond. For this question, I consider the theoretical framework towards future research, that is art education and critical disability studies. This concept was featured IJETA special issue 2020 edited by Mira Kariotaven. Disability studies were presented as a knowledge based on basing art education. Dan Guthrie, leading scholar in this field, said disability study is developing global ways to reflect a distinct regional context across the social sciences and humanities. What then is ASEAN inclusive art education? Let's create it together. I introduce intergroup contact theory. According to Gordon report, for collaboration, we need these 5 elements: equal group, common goals, intergroup cooperation, authority support, and developing affective ties. I think it is especially important to have a common goal. So here are 2 prospects for the future. First, building an international network. Asia Inclusive Art Education Network, AIAEN, creating relationships so we can easily keep in touch. Native language communication through AI transition. International collaborative research. Second, making a book or a booklet together. inclusive art education in Asia in the pandemic era, addressing minorities in each country, and art educator conducted a practice or research to encourage diversity and social inclusion in the pandemic era. Let's make it a reality. Now, I will answer the last question from the counselor. What does art mean to you? I think art is like a glue to initiate connection among diverse persons, institute, and so on. This is image of art. Art grew the distance between the various individual entities. This is the beauty of art. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your work.
So should I go next?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Hi, it's my great pleasure to share my recent research and practice in this wonderful event. And thank you for joining the first ARC webinar of 2022. Let me introduce our presenters shortly. So I'm Suna Kim from Hanyang University, Seoul, Korea, and I will be presenting with my fellow researchers, Jin-hee Park, Yoo Hee-sun, and Yoo-min Hee. And they will, at the end of the presentation, they will share their stories about our program. So I think they will have time to introduce themselves at that time. The title of my presentation is Drawing on the Mind, and it's mostly about our attempt to reconceptualize art education so as to embrace diversity and difference. My presentation consists of 3 parts: pedagogy of able art and growing as a creator. So I will share a brief cases of 2 students with their artworks. And then finally, as I mentioned before, 3 teachers, 3 researchers share their stories about the program. Okay, let's get started. First part deals with the question of how we see the art of the others. So I was searching for some proper terms that can capture the idea of art of the others. So it's more about, do we really see the art of others as art, or do we have the language to describe properly of their artwork? So those questions kind of lead me to different kinds of programs and different kind of support for children or people with disabilities. So as I researched, my focus moved more toward pedagogy of able art. So I'm still conceptualizing this, and I'm still searching for the references. So I hope you all can help me and join me in kind of looking for a new way of teaching or educating pupils with special needs. So in my search for the terms or concepts, I found 3 different terms. So in the UK, it seems like they are calling it disability arts. This term seems to have a more focus on identity of artists with disabilities. So they are working more together with the disability rights movement. And I found that in the US, they use very special art. So this term is more associated with special education. So that was a little bit different. And I found that in Japan, there has been a able art movement. So as the term itself shows, it more focused on the potentials of people of disabilities. So I found that different terms are used according to the cultural or social context of each country. So I guess Koreans will have our own term that can capture our situations. And at the same time, we can kind of compare or we can integrate different ideas through the Asian countries. Then maybe we can find the answer for today's questions of this webinar. So I think the fundamental purpose of inclusive art education is enabling the disabled through art. And I don't think it's about teaching those people with disabilities, special skills or knowledge in art. It's more about raising questions on whose standards are used in defining art, or how we can extend the boundary of difference. Because whenever I see their work or whenever I interact with our students, I found that they perceive the world totally differently. So they are having whole different view, the whole different world that is filled with sensibilities and emotions. So it's kind of inspiring me in terms of broadening the view of opening up the whole new world. So I think we need to kind of reflect ourselves at the same time, helping them kind of inspire us. So pedagogically, I think we need more culturally and artistically responsive teaching. So we cannot ask fish to climb up the tree. So we need to have proper system or structure where the fish can swim freely and they can be themselves within the educational environment. So in this matter, I was looking for some kind of instructional or kind of curriculum development tool. So I think universal design for learning would be a good, useful tool, framework that can help me build a more flexible curriculum or program that can kind of respect the differences of our students. So UDL is to provide equal access to learning. So it's not just giving them the same information or same knowledge or having them in the same environment. It's giving them the access according to their own needs. So I think that what I found very important and interesting is that the curriculum development itself starts with understanding of the students. So it's not like, what should I teach? It's more about who are being taught. So we kind of reflect upon what we know about those students. So in that sense, I'm still very much learning about children with developmental disabilities, and there are more to know. But as long as I try to learn about them, our program became more kind of more kind of meaningful to those students, I guess. So I think we need to see that the barriers is not the students. The barriers is in the environment. So instead of changing the students, we have to change the educational structure. And then based on the understanding of students, we can set up the goal and then see if there are any potential barriers to those students. So by removing those barriers in prior time, we can kind of open up more opportunities for more students. So that's how I try to build our curriculum and how I kind of set up the environmental educational environments. So let me briefly introduce about our program. We are teaching 60 adolescents aged from 9 to 24, so it's a lot, it's a big group. They are all developmental disabilities, but it's kind of multiple disabilities, so it's hard to kind of describe in one or two kind of syndrome. And it's funded by Seoul Metropolitan Government, so it's all free for those students. And it is operated by Hanyang Education in Art and Design Lab, we call HEAD Lab. So we've been building and operating this program for 3 years. So the program duration is 90 hours per year. So we are having classes every Saturday for 3 hours. It's about like 29 or 30 weeks a year. And content modules are divided into art making, design, media, and their own exhibitions and extra activities where they can go out and meet artists, or sometimes they go to artist studio to more directly interact with artists. We divided those students into 8 classes according to their kind of prior experiences in art. So there are 7 to 8 students in class. We have one main artist or instructor who lead the class. And then we have 4 mentors who work very closely with each student. So the art instructor, if the art instructor gives them some kind of task or assignment, the mentors kind of talk with those students and then find out some materials that they want to use, and then they go along until they finish their own work. This is kind of our framework that guides us, our program. So our mission is more about wholesome development of those students. It's kind of tricky because the main purpose is to really help them to become a professional artist, but we cannot make 60 professional artists a year. So we are dividing our missions. We have kind of layers of missions. So we help students kind of get introduced to art. And for more advanced students, we are actually helping them get used to art world. So according to their levels, some students meet artists, some students work more with art teachers at the kind of preliminary level. And the second mission is more about building up their aesthetic sensibilities. So we are not telling them to do something. We are listening to them and we are building their sensibilities so that they can tell us what they want to create. So it's very important for us. And in the long run, we hope that this program can help them to really integrate socially and culturally within our own society. It's not just about getting a job or kind of have a place to work. It's more about being a member of our society. So our objective is more looking for their potentials. So we believe that the students that apply for our program all have very clear kind of idea of their own artwork, and they do have potentials or they're kind of impulse to create. So we are trying to unveiling them so that they can really flourish through art. And our second goal is, as I said before, it's more about self-expression. It's more instead of learning about art. And then for the final goal, we are helping them develop social and emotional abilities altogether so that they can actually explore their careers as practicing artists. The focus of our curriculum is more asset-based development. So we are looking for what they can do or what they want to do. And we try to make our classes more individualized as far as we can, since it's a big group, 60 of students. So it's not just working individually within a studio. So we are trying to have a structure that kind of work flexibly according to individual needs. So finally, we try to build our curriculum more based on universal design of learning so that we can help them develop their own self-determination abilities. So our curriculum is more about theme-based. So when I started this program, the main problem that I had was they had been taught to just do what they are told to do. I mean, their work was very similar. When I first received their portfolio, the work was very similar. And since their previous teachers had very low expectations of them, they just follow the instruction, or they are creating, they are making very similar things. So I thought that in our program, it is more important to have them their own motives and have their own stories more than learning some or getting more kind of artistic skills. So the theme, having their own theme, is the main focus of our curriculum. And we try to provide them deep experience in art media. Also, in previous experiences, our students had very limited experience with media, like they only use marker, or they only use acrylic, they only use clay. So we try to bring in many different media as possible, and then throughout the years, they can develop, they can kind of have more broadened experience with each media, so that at the end, I hope that they can find their own specialty, like own their special areas of visual arts. So for the advanced students, we are having more individualized studio. So they work more like an artist with artists, so that they can discover the best way of, the best container that can help them express their ideas. Let me briefly show you some video about our program.
Sound suppression water system activated. 13 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, main engine ignition, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Can you see the video now? Can you hear it? No? Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay now.
Okay, okay.
Keep going.
안녕하세요. 박건우입니다.
강예진입니다. 배원비입니다.
저는 김준성이고요.
김나영입니다. 인천공항을 그렸어요.
가을 풍경, 가을 그거 제가 그린 거예요.
고질라 그리는 거예요.
꽃을 그린 거예요.
우리나라 자유와 평화를 지키기 위해서 저도 뭔가 하고 싶다는 내용이 담겨 있어요.
선생님한테 칭찬받고 싶어서요. 그래서 열심히 그렸더니 이렇게 나왔어요. 칭찬받으면 기분 좋거든요.
제가 좋아하는 그림을 그린다니까 너무 신나서 집중이 잘 됐어요.
보는 사람이 즐거우면 좋겠어요.
그냥 재미있게 봐줬으면 좋겠어요. 즐겁게요.
예쁘게 그림 있으면 좋겠어요.
예쁜 그림.
that you can enjoy it. I couldn't translate all of their talk, but first they introduced themselves and then they talk a little bit about their own work. And as I wrote here, I hope you can see it now. It says, my work shows that I want to do something to protect freedom and peace of my country. It's a huge goal, but they are very clear and very simple. So I am always fascinated like by how they have clear idea of what they like and what they enjoy. So sometimes it's more kind of easy for us to help them develop their own interests. Let's see. So now on, I will show two students' artworks and explain a little bit about it. So this one is from Kim Chan-jong. He is 20 years old. He has some social and cognitive developmental delay, but as you can see, he can write and he can communicate. And he likes making cartoons and designing cars and robots. In our program, he wanted to make an animation book about like traffic safety. He loves to draw those cars and trucks and trains. So I put his works like in the years. So I hope that you can see the growth of his artwork. So the one thing that I want to really emphasize was that they do grow, they do learn, they do change. Sometimes we think that since they are not, sometimes they don't elaborate their ideas in words, or sometimes they feel like delayed. We think that it's very hard to teach or they do not learn. But if we have a long vision or a long kind of period for their development, we can clearly see how they develop their own artwork. So as you can see here, he make more details and he expand here his motifs, and from 2D now he can make it 3D, and then he can develop a story. So like I said, he wanted to make a book, make a story about what he liked. So this work was last year's work, and he really thought about the way to pop up his kind of motif so that he can express the animated kind of sensibility of his theme. So, and using computers and using different materials, he really could kind of open up new ways of showing what he loves. So it was very important for us to introduce new media for them. Sometimes they resist. They like to use what they have used or what they are comfortable with. But it was our job to help them try new media so that they can find a new way of expressing what they like, more kind of smooth way. So I think he was the one who clearly showed the development of artwork within 3 years. And I have another student. He's Park Kwan-woo. He's 17 years old, and he has autism spectrum disorder. He likes to cook. He likes art, sports, cats, train, travel, red and green colors. So he has a lot to love. And as you may not be able to read his writings, but he is very specific. He's very sensible person. So he's specific about the sound around him, the smell of the smell of flowers, like the shape of he sees in everyday lives. So his sensibility itself is very kind of inspiring, and I think that is the great base for him to create an artwork. So in the same way, you can see how he has developed. When he started 2019, he hadn't had many experience in art education or art instruction, like private institutions or something like that. So he started with collage shapes he likes. And then in 2020, he started to expressing himself with self-portrait or the people he likes. And then last year, we found that he was really keen to three-dimensional building or structural expressions. So for the final work, he really built up his own kind of robot. So as you can see here, he did 3D idea sketch and he did the modeling, and then he built up his final work. So they do have those kind of, he was able to do systematic approach toward art making. And I translated what he wrote about his work here. So it's dinosaur word, guano robot. So he said like he wants to visit the world where fantastic dinosaur robot lives. And since he cannot go there, he created a reliable and strong guano robot that will take him to the dinosaur robot world. So for me, it's more like the art really take him to the world where he wants to be. So I think art is very special tool for them to communicate and to visualize what they see and what they want to see. So finally, I will give our researchers a chance to talk a little bit more about their experiences. So it's more like firsthand stories of meeting or helping those students. Hee-san Ryu, can you start? She will talk in Korean and then I will try to translate it right after she talks.
안녕하세요. 저는 한양미술디자인교육센터 유희선 연구원입니다. 저는 지난 3년간 학생들과 강사로 참여하면서 느꼈던 점을 나누고자 합니다. 발달장애 학생들과 함께 미술 수업을 하면서 저는 학생들의 미술에 대한 열정과 몰입, 미술로 소통하는 것을 즐거워하는 마음, 성장의 가능성을 보았습니다. 3시간이라는 수업 시간 동안 쉬지 않고 작업하는 학생들의 모습, 작업이 마음처럼 잘 되지 않을 때면 속상해하는 모습, 친구들을 칭찬하기도 하고 칭찬받으면 뿌듯해하는 모습, 어려운 작업을 해내고 만족해하는 학생들을 보았습니다. 이런 학생들의 모습을 통해서 저는 흔히 사회적 소통에 관심이 없다고 말하는 자폐성 장애 학생들에게도 미술을 통해 스스로 성장하고자 하는 마음이 있다는 것을 알게 되었습니다. 저는 발달장애 미술 교육이 결핍, 한계의 관점에서 접근하거나 예술가의 양성이나 기능 향상 등 제한적인 시각에 기초한 미술 교육에 국한되는 것이 아니라 학생들의 미적 역량을 향상하는 것에 더 많은 관심을 기울여야 한다고 생각합니다. 그러기 위해서는 발달장애 학생들을 가르치는 강사는 발달장애 학생들에게도 더 잘하고 싶은 마음이 있고 성장할 수 있다는 믿음에 기반하여 학생들을 개개인을 어떻게 안내하고 조력할지 고민해야 한다고 생각합니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Okay, I will try my best. I will remember. She talks about her experience as an art instructor or mentor of the students. And first of all, she learned to see students' passion and their flow, their enjoyment when they make art. So 3 hours of our class isn't a short period of time, but they really were focused and they really tried their best to make their own artwork. And as an instructor, she thinks that it is very important to have a belief on students' potential of growth or students' kind of willingness to grow. So in order to help individual students, it is important to look at them and find out their own desire to grow on their own. I hope I cover up all what he said. And the next, Minhee, you could you add more?
네, 안녕하세요. 한양미술디자인교육센터의 유민희 연구원입니다. 저는 발달장애 청소년 대상 미술교육 프로그램을 운영하는 연구원으로서 학부모님과의 소통에 관한 이야기를 나누고자 합니다. 발달장애 청소년을 대상으로 하는 미술교육에 있어서 학생들을 교육하는 것만큼 중요했던 점 한 가지가 바로 학부모님들과의 적극적인 소통이었습니다. 이는 운영자, 강사, 학부모 모두가 발달장애 청소년의 미적 특성을 이해하고 개개인의 미술 세계를 존중하는 것을 발달장애 미술교육의 출발점으로 보았기 때문입니다. 특히 발달장애 자녀들의 미적 발달과 성장을 곁에서 지켜봐 주시는 부모님들의 역할은 이전에도 중요시 되었지만 최근에는 온라인이라는 교육 환경의 변화로 인해 교육 매개자의 역할로 더욱 확대되었습니다. 이에 저희 센터에서는 다소 고정적이었던 미술교육에 대한 학부모님들의 인식 개선을 위해 매년 학부모님들을 대상으로 발달장애 학습자의 미술교육이 지향해야 할 방향성과 다양성에 대한 교육을 실시하였습니다. 그 밖에 강사와 학부모와의 1:1 상담을 통해 강사는 학생의 특성을 더욱 이해하고 학부모님들께서는 교육의 방향을 제시하고 함께 상의할 수 있는 자리를 마련하였으며 수업 운영 전반에 관한 학부모님들의 설문조사를 실시하여 수업의 질을 향상시키고자 하였습니다. 다음으로는 점프 어헤드 미술교육을 통한 자녀들의 미적 발달에 대해 학부모님들께서 나눠주신 이야기들을 몇 가지 소개해드리고자 합니다. 부모님들께서는 수업을 통해 다양한 미술 재료를 접하고 평면뿐만 아니라 입체적인 작품 활동을 통해 미술 세계의 폭이 넓어진 것 같습니다. 아이가 반복적인 작업, 패턴에서 벗어나 다양한 기법을 습득해서 표현력이 늘었고 자신의 미술 세계를 만들어가고 있습니다. 전공 수업을 참여하면서 평소 관심 많은 미디어 편집을 하는 과정을 너무 흥미로워했습니다. 아이 스스로 스토리를 만들어 편집하는 능력을 보고 엄마인 저도 놀랐습니다. 학부모 상담을 통해 아이에 대해서 어떻게 하면 좀 더 접근하고 도와줄 수 있는지 도움을 받을 수 있어서 너무 좋았습니다. 라고 말씀해 주셨습니다. 앞으로도 저희 센터는 꾸준한 학부모님들과의 소통 그리고 학부모 교육을 통해 발달장애 학생들을 위한 미술 교육의 내실을 다져나갈 수 있도록 노력할 것입니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. She talked about the communication with the parents as the starting point of our education. Especially for children with developmental disabilities, it was very important for us to have active communication with parents. They are not just the supporters, they are kind of they have mediatory role between our content and the students. So especially within the online education environment, since we don't have students in our own classroom, our students were in their home with their parents. So their parents is more like second instructor of our program. So we tried to communicate with the parents. We had special sessions for parents so that we can share our goals and we can advise them how to help them. Sometimes they help too much. So we try to kind of collaborate with the students as partners. So it was great to hear about their stories, what they witnessed about their children's growth. So Minhee talked a little bit about like parents kind of words, parents mentions about their experience. And some parents said that her children finally could go beyond the repetitive like patterns or the same work, and really not only making art, she thought that her children is really making her own art world. And another parent said that she was surprised that her children can do video editing using computers. So the stories that her child made was really inspired the parents. So all those kind of stories really help us to think more about the role of parents in inclusive art education. So as our team, we are still looking for ways to communicate with parents and building more partnerships so as to build the proper educational environment for all students. Thank you. Finally, last one, Jinhee, could you add more?
네. 네, 안녕하세요. 저는 한양미술디자인교육센터의 박진희 연구원입니다. 오늘 발달장애 청소년 대상 미술교육 프로그램을 실천하면서 운영자로서 경험한 현장의 이야기를 나누려고 합니다. 한국 국내 발달장애 청소년을 위한 미술교육 프로그램 등은 주로 사교육이라던가 개인 수업 그리고 복지시설 등 민간 영역 중심으로 소그룹으로 진행이 되고 있는데요. 또한 수준 높은 고등교육을 받을 수 있는 비장애인에 비해서 발달장애 청소년 대상 전문예술교육기관이라던가 이런 장애 학습자만의 개별 특성 혹은 요구에 부합한 미술교육 프로그램이 부재한 상황입니다. 이러한 상황 안에서 본 센터는 발달장애 미술교육 프로그램을 운영하는 서울 지역 내 유일한 고등교육기관으로서 발달장애 청소년의 예술교육의 확대내 다양화, 그리고 예술인 발굴과 성장, 그리고 발달장애 대상 교육 커리큘럼의 내실화를 위해 노력하고 있습니다. 발달장애 청소년을 위한 전문 미술교육 프로그램을 위해서는 단순히 운영자 혹은 교육 전문가, 강사 개인이 미술 수업을 한다는 것을 넘어서서 학습자와 학부모, 그리고 행정기관과 강사의 요구를 파악하고 목표를 설정하고 계획하고 모니터링, 평가, 수정, 보완 등 전반적인 과정에서 프로그램에 참여하는 다양한 주체 간의 연결을 매개하고 촉진하고 이것을 전문적으로 조직하는 것이 매우 중요하다는 것을 경험하였습니다. 이를 위해서는 어떠한 일방적인 방향으로 그것이 고정된 조건이나 환경을 만드는 것이 아니라 함께 공동의 목표와 발달장애 청소년들을 위한 교육의 질을 더욱 향상시킬 수 있는 방향으로 만들어갈 수 있는 시스템을 마련한다는 것이 필요하였습니다. 그래서 발달장애 청소년 대상 전문 미술교육기관으로서 서울시 담당자, 행정가, 교육 전문가로서의 강사, 보조 강사, 또한 예술기관, 지역사회기관, 그리고 학부모 등 다양한 대상들과의 참여와 협력을 지속적으로 강화하고자 합니다. 감사합니다. Thank you.
감사합니다. Jinhee shared her experience as a kind of overall organizer of our program. So in order to make it happen, she had to work with various stakeholders. So she said in Korea, the special education in art is mostly conducted by small private institutions or kind of welfare institutions. So it's very hard to receive more professional art education. So we are trying to kind of take our responsibility as a higher education institution to provide more kind of advanced professional art experience for those students. So as she said, the working with the Seoul governmental officials and the artists and the mentors and the museum kind of persons, all those people should have shared goals to provide the best for those students, and then create ideas to have more kind of new experience or new space for those students in our society. So we think our program can be a kind of example for building up a system where various people participate and kind of add more professional knowledge or expertise so that we can have the best educational environment, especially for those with developmental disabilities. I hope that we do have AI translator so that those talks can be delivered more efficiently, or the better. I hope that I didn't lose too much for those talks. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope that we can have more collaboration on inclusive art throughout Asia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So